Curry need to grow up. Steve Harvey has been on stage since 2015.
So he put his hands on females, put his hands on producers, executives. That's just his. I guess that's what the whole name Bad Boy comes from. That people don't really understand. What is it? What is a bad boy? Why did he choose that name? Like he never really gave a clear definition of how he feels about that name.
It was never just a breakup. It was a controlled explosion hiding behind a clean headline. Two young people, different priorities, amicable split. That's the version they fed the world. Easy, polished, disposable. But inside the rooms where the real conversations happened, nobody believed that fairy tale for a second. Because what if Michael didn't lose Lori because she wasn't ready? What if he lost her because someone wanted him to? What if a single message, one file, one piece of footage flipped everything overnight? They say it wasn't revenge. That's too emotional. This was colder, strategic, a warning disguised as a revelation. And once you hear what was allegedly on that tape, everything about that breakup starts to feel staged, rehearsed, like damage control before the damage even surfaced. Because this wasn't heartbreak, this was containment. And the moment that message landed, the story stopped being about love and started being about leverage, about secrets that don't just end relationships, they rewrite reality. Because buried under all of this, deeper than the tape, darker than the whispers, sits a claim so heavy it changes the entire narrative. A child, not a rumor, not a headline, a living consequence. And if that's true, then the breakup wasn't the story, it was the cover.
Where do we begin? Michael B. Jordan's winning the Oscar Sunday. Well, first of all, let's take a step back. How are you?
It's impossible.
How are you?
Yo, it's impossible.
How the are you?
Here's the thing, bro.
I said, how are you?
Listen, I'm great.
How are you?
I'm great, man. I'm great.
How
Not
are
as
you?
great as Michael.
Look at him. Really look. Not the interviews, not the red carpets. Those are performances. Go back to that NBA Finals moment. Cameras flashing, celebrities laughing, energy high, and Michael sitting there like he's somewhere else entirely. Not sad, not angry, empty. There's a difference, and people who know him noticed it instantly. That wasn't a man processing a breakup. That was someone carrying something he couldn't put down. Something that followed him into every room, every appearance, every forced smile. And suddenly those little moments start stacking up. The interviews feel tighter. The jokes feel rehearsed. Even when he tries to laugh, it doesn't land the same. Because once you've seen something you can't unsee, it doesn't leave you. It lingers behind your eyes. It rewires how you move, how you speak, how you trust. And here's the uncomfortable question nobody wants to ask out loud. What did he see? What exactly was on that tape that turned Hollywood's golden boy into someone guarded, distant, almost calculated? Because whatever it was, it didn't just end a relationship. It changed him.
So they in that generation. And I asked them what is it, and they said, Dad, you clickbait. He said, you clickbait. Yeah. He said, you one of the most viral people in your age group out there. He said, Dad, every clip on Family Feud got you on it.
Yeah.
You clickbait. If they can take your face and put it on anything, you become clickbait. He said, and that's what it is,
And then, just like that, the public announcement drops. Mutual, respectful, different priorities, the usual script. But insiders, they're not buying it. They're pointing to something else, a private message that detonated everything behind the scenes. Not revenge, control. A reminder that no one, not even someone at the top of Hollywood, is untouchable. And that's where the story takes a turn that people can't ignore anymore. Because the tape, that's not even the real story. That's just the mechanism. The real weight comes from what Michael allegedly learned after. A secret that doesn't fade, doesn't disappear, doesn't get buried under PR campaigns. A child. Stop and think about that. A child is not speculation. It's not a narrative you can spin. It's physical proof of something deeper, something longer, something that stretches back into a timeline that suddenly starts looking very messy. Because if you rewind to 2019, the pieces were always there. The sightings, the trips, Cabo, New York, Miami, then Italy. Cameras everywhere, smiles for the public. But in those photos, there are details people brushed past at the time. A hand placed just a little too intentionally, a moment that felt off but got buried under headlines. And when speculation started bubbling up, it was shut down fast. Not engaged. Don't believe everything you read. But notice what wasn't denied. The silence wasn't accidental. It was selective. And then just like that, everything reset. Lori reappears, glowing, untouched, building her brand, stepping into a new relationship like nothing ever happened. Clean slate, fresh narrative. But here's the thing about clean slates, they don't just happen. Someone makes them happen. Someone clears the path, manages the noise, erases the inconvenient pieces. And the question that keeps circling back, louder every time, is simple. Who made that possible? Because timelines don't lie. They stretch, they bend, but eventually they snap back into place. And when they do, every gap, every silence, every carefully avoided answer starts to look less like coincidence and more like coordination. And if Michael stepped into that story without knowing the full picture, then he didn't just lose a relationship. He walked into something that was already in motion long before he arrived. And by the time he realized it, it was too late.
The flight where Diddy said to her,
showed her the video.
That he showed her a video of a freak-off that she participated in and said, if you don't participate in another freak-off when we get to New York, I'm gonna put this video out. I'm gonna send it to your mother.
And that's coercion.
She testified to that.
If the jury
believed her, that's coercion. They would have.
And just when you think this story can't get more uncomfortable, it pulls another name into the center, Steve Harvey. And suddenly the entire image he built starts to feel fragile. Because this is a man who made a career telling the world how to protect your family, how to guide your daughters, how to move with moral clarity. Books, shows, speeches, a whole empire built on being the voice of wisdom. But then you rewind to that summer, 2019, and the visuals don't match the message anymore. He's sitting at that table, smiling, comfortable, present, while everything around him suggests something far more complicated was unfolding. And people noticed. They questioned it in real time. They asked where that protective energy was when it actually mattered. But there was no answer, just silence. And silence in a situation like this doesn't stay neutral for long. It starts to look intentional, strategic, like a decision to let the storm pass without ever stepping into it. Because addressing it would mean acknowledging it. And acknowledging it could open doors nobody wants opened. Then comes another voice cutting through the noise, Jaguar Wright. And whether you believe her or not, she doesn't hesitate. She names the dynamic plainly. She points at that moment and says you don't sit there and not know. You don't share space with that kind of power, that kind of influence, and remain unaware. And suddenly the question isn't just what happened, it's who knew. Because knowing changes everything. It shifts the story from coincidence to complicity. And that's where things start to feel dangerous, not just for one person, but for everyone connected to that moment. And hovering over all of this is one central figure, Sean Combs, sitting in a place no one expected him to be, a jail cell, federal charges closing in, a timeline that's no longer controlled by PR teams or private conversations. Because when everything starts collapsing, when the walls start tightening, people don't hold secrets the same way anymore, especially someone who built influence on knowing things about everyone else. Think about that inversion. The same person who allegedly kept leverage over others now has nothing left to protect, and that makes him unpredictable. Because if there's even a chance at reducing what's coming, what stops him from talking? What stops him from connecting dots that were never meant to be connected in public? And that's where this situation becomes something else entirely. Because if those seized devices, those messages, those recordings hold even a fraction of what people are whispering about, then this isn't gossip anymore. It becomes documentation, evidence, something that doesn't disappear when headlines change. And if any of it ties back to Lori Harvey, then her silence suddenly becomes the loudest thing in the room. Because she hasn't addressed it, not directly, not clearly, not once. She moved forward, rebuilt her image, controlled her narrative with precision. But there's a difference between moving on and leaving something behind unresolved, and people are starting to feel that gap. Now layer in another name, Michael B. Jordan, because he's still right at the center of this storm even without saying a word. That's the strangest part. His silence isn't making this go away, it's amplifying it. Because every time he steps into public view now, every interview, every appearance, the same invisible question follows him. What does he know? Not what did he hear? Not what did he assume? What does he actually know? Because according to the whispers, he didn't just hear rumors, he saw something real enough to change how he moves through the world. And if that's true, then his silence isn't just personal anymore. It becomes part of the structure holding everything in place. And here's where the tension tightens, because the industry he operates in thrives on silence, on quiet agreements, on things being handled behind the scenes before they ever reach daylight. And people close to him have hinted that he understands that now in a way he didn't before. That what looked like fame and opportunity also comes with an unspoken system, one where certain truths don't surface unless someone forces them to. And that puts him in an impossible position. Speak and risk pulling down everything connected to it. Stay silent and carry something that clearly hasn't let him go. Meanwhile, the scale of everything around this situation keeps expanding. Allegations stacking, investigations deepening, names being pulled into conversations they were never publicly part of before. And when you hear numbers being mentioned, dozens, even over 100 accusers connected to the wider situation, it stops feeling isolated. It starts looking like a pattern, a network, something that operated quietly for a long time because it could. And if even a small part of that overlaps with what Lori was connected to during that period, then this story doesn't just stay personal, it becomes systemic. And that's why the child claim, whether confirmed or not, sits at the center like a pressure point, because it represents something tangible, something that can't be spun or reframed if it ever surfaces with proof. And the fact that there's been no clear confirmation, no denial that directly addresses it, no documentation publicly acknowledged, that absence creates its own weight. Because in a world where everything leaks eventually, where even the smallest details find their way out, something staying completely hidden raises its own set of questions. So now you have all the pieces sitting in tension. A public breakup that never felt real, a private message that allegedly changed everything overnight, a timeline from years ago that refuses to stay buried, a powerful figure facing consequences that could push him to speak, a family brand built on values that suddenly feels misaligned with the past, and at the center of it all, one person who might connect all of it, choosing not to. And that silence, it's not stable, it's pressure building. Because silence doesn't erase stories like this. It delays them, it compresses them, it makes the eventual release louder, sharper, more disruptive. And every day that passes without clarity, without someone stepping forward and anchoring the narrative in something solid, the speculation grows. The questions multiply, the gaps widen. So the real question isn't what happened anymore, it's what happens next. Because this doesn't feel finished, it feels paused, like something waiting for the moment it can't be contained anymore. And when that moment comes, whether it's through a courtroom, a leak, a statement, or a single unexpected confession, it's not just going to reshape one relationship. It's going to ripple through everything connected to it. And the one thing everyone seems to understand, even without saying it out loud, is that when the silence finally breaks, it won't come quietly.